Here we are, Monday night, and it's our first night with Shelly. We got some invites done yesterday. We didn't do that many because we had some stuff we had to kind of dive in on the Sunday Purge call, but that's fine. We're going to do some more invites during the week. But I'm desperate to hear how Shelly got on her first day. So I'm going to bring on senior consultant Shelly Hostetter onto the call, and we've just been having a bit of fun with me practicing saying her last name because I got the funny accent and that sound kind of funny. So we've been trying to work out how to say the name with an English accent, but we got it sorted out. Shelly, are you on the line?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I could hear you giggling in the background, so I guess there was a little bit of a clue.
Yes.
All right, so as I kind of explained before we got on the call, I'm interested to hear how your day went, and again, for those who are listening in, it's really important that everything's 100% honest, because we think, you want it to be nothing but good news, but actually the people who are listening in for coaching, this type of thing, want an ordinary day, and sometimes an ordinary day is when things didn't go quite so well. So you have my permission to be as honest as you want, as vulnerable as you want. I want to know if you're pissed off. I want to know if you're on top of the world or somewhere halfway between the two. So I'm happy. So Shelly, how was your first day today?
Kind of nerve-wracking. I called several people, did not get a hold of probably the first 5 I called. So I left a short, brief message, just said, "This is Shelly. I would like to talk to you about something. Please give me a call at your earliest convenience," and just left it at that. Mm-hmm. Then did get a hold of Rhonda Roman, which was my 4th one down. Mm-hmm. She's one of the ones that does know about it. She is a customer. She runs an employment agency. She's around 50. She, a friend of mine, was in a networking group with me. Super gal. I talked to her. Nothing has changed really for her right now. She's not interested really in the business, but I did ask her about. I got on it asking her about Japan, and at first she said, "No, I don't think I would know anybody." And then she stopped me and she said, "You know what? I think I do." And so she said she had some contacts in an oil company here that they are recruiting for, and so she is going to get back with me tomorrow when she looks into that a little bit more. And so I thought that was kind of positive.
Well, that's good. Let me ask you a couple of, before we move on, let me ask you a question on that. So Rhonda has seen the business before?
Yes.
Okay, so you've had an opportunity to show her the video, and she turned it down first time, and then you went into I guess with, who was it with the person, I think Abelia, I think, had seen it before. Was it Abelia or was it someone else?
Abelia, I've talked to her about it, just looking at it, but she hasn't seen the video or anything because I didn't have anything Spanish for her to see.
Okay. But again, I think we talked about on the call yesterday that if you're going to talk to someone again who's seen it before, we talk all about the changes, and it sounds like that's what you did and how come Japan came up. So did you, when you got her on the call, say, "Hey, I just wanted to follow up with you about the ambit business"?
I wrote.
I promoted.
I actually wrote out, what I said. But I said, "We talked before about this business I am in and wanted to talk again because it is going really well for me. And I have to be honest, I would really love for you to do this with me." Says ambit is, we're at 1.5 billion now in revenue, and we're breaking records, and we are moving into Japan to double our potential revenue over the next few years. And so I said, is there anybody that you think you would know that is in that area that could help me out? And so she said no at first, and then she kind of was telling me about her day, and then she stopped me and she said, "You know what? I think I do know somebody."
And what's interesting is that if you, obviously she gives you the referrals, and if there are opportunities there, then it's a great way to be able to circle back to her and say, "Well, look, I know you're not interested in the business, but do you want me to sign these guys up directly under me, or do you want to make the money out of these people and we get you going and put them in your business?"
Okay.
So That would be a great way of being able to, great way to circle back. But let me ask you a question. You had the invite written down, which is great, and you did a great job. How does it feel having that written down so to keep you on track? Did that help?
Yes, it was much easier.
Yeah.
Much easier.
It is funny because a couple of leaders, are like, we've got to get on with it. We've got to get on with it and race through the numbers. I don't believe in that. I do believe that we want to get everyone called, but wouldn't it be a shame if we messed it up with someone who could have been great just for the sake of getting through the numbers? I believe in patience. Everybody deserves the respect of a good, proper invite based upon their circumstances. And so I think the investment of time putting, an invite together like that is a great idea because it gives them respect. But as much as that, it makes you feel a little bit more confident. It keeps you on track if you get, sidetracked or you get nervous or whatever. So good. I'm glad that just that part, has helped and kept you on track on that call. And you've come out the other side with a potential referral for Japan.
Yes.
So that's awesome. That's great. So
I'm excited.
Rhonda's. So let me write a note here. So Rhonda, still a no, or still a not yet.
Yes.
But the Japanese referral.
And she's just really busy right now, and so I really think that because they're doing a lot of we're oil fields here, and so it's picking back up quite rapidly right now, and so she's recruiting, and so she's crazy right now. Trying to get
and so I get that. If I'm super crazy, someone comes to me with the cure for baldness. If you've ever seen my head, you'll see it shave my head. I haven't got time. I would love it, but I'm swamped. I haven't got time. But you know what? In a year's time, when it's calmed down, and then I may be open for it. So maybe it's just about timing for her. So what I would do is let's follow up with the lead and see how that goes. But assume that we're going to be purging her for probably 6 months, I would think. When does it start to quieten down for her recruiting?
It may not. It just depends. I would probably say 3 months at least. Okay. All right. And then what we do is we put that on a list. I would put her name in the calendar for 3 months' time, so you didn't slip by it. I don't know what kind of record-keeping thing you have there, but follow-up, success is in the follow-up. And as we talked about yesterday on the call, so many people joined the business on the second ask, the fourth ask, the fifth ask, or whatever. You just never know. And it sounds like Rhonda's super nice. I'm sure she was very nice about turning you down. So let's see if we can use the Japanese referral to get back in that way. But if not, let's give her a call back in 3 months and just give her a call and say, just touching base with you. I know Ambit's not ready for you yet, but I just wanted to update you on, we're now actually in Japan or whatever it is we update her on, and that would be great. The other thing, by the way, you did well was a lot of people wonder what you do when you do a voicemail, when you call someone and there's no one there. You did exactly the right thing. Some people say, I didn't leave a message. I didn't want to say anything. No, we need to leave a voicemail message because we do a process of 4 calls and what I mean by that is the first call is if I'm calling you, I'd say, hey, Shelly, it's Richard here. Can you give me a call? I've just got something I need to talk to you about, which is what you did. Perfect. Okay. You don't call me back. So the same day, later that day, I'll call you back and say, hey, Shelly, I left you a message earlier on. Give us a call when you get a chance, please. Okay. Then the third call will be the next day because I haven't heard from you despite 2 messages. And the third one, I'm going to guilt you a little bit. I'm going to say, hey, Shelly, I gave you a couple of calls yesterday, left you a couple of messages, and you're usually really good at getting back to me. Is everything okay? Give me a call when you get a chance. Okay, so that's the third call. And then the fourth call will be another 24 hours, the next day. Okay? And that will be a last call. And what I mean by that is I'd be saying, hey, Shelly, I've left a few messages for you. Obviously, you're out of town or something's keeping you super busy right now, and I don't want to keep hassling you, so this is the
last message. I'm going to leave you, but if you get this message, give me a call back. If not, I'll just get in touch with you at some point in the future.
Okay.
And then they're done. And I'm going to purge them for about 2 months. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, I don't want to be that person who's just constantly wah, wah, wah. I keep calling you, you never pick up. I keep, it reminds me of my days when the girls would just ignore all my calls and never let me take them on a date. It just slowly steals all of your power. So we don't want to do that. So we have 4 calls. So it maintains the power for you. But you're going to give them a call back in 2-3 months or whatever it is. But this is the most important thing, is it gets that name off the list.
Okay.
So you've got space on your list for a new name who will pick up, who will look at the business, who will join your business. It's constantly, we want to try and keep purging that list of names. We don't want the same names coming up week after week after week after week. And so we have that 4-call process. So yeah, with the ones you left messages for, hopefully we don't get to that 4th call, but that's how you deal with it. Make sense?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Cool. All right. So,
Okay.
So did you manage to get anything else done today?
Yes. The second one I did manage to get a hold of, there's 2 on my list that are up there that I don't have a number for. I found out one of them has the numbers changed. And so I'm going to have to get a hold of another friend to get that number.
Okay.
And so I skipped down past the 10. I've got 2 that I called down below that. One of them I left a message for. One of them I did get a hold of. Another lady that I've done her hair in the past, family kind of friends around, part of her family are friends of mine too. And so she used to own safety. She did safety meetings and stuff here for.
What's her name?
For oil fields. Her name is Jo. J-O.
Oh, she's not. Oh, is that the first? Is that another Jo?
Yes.
That's not on your list of 10.
No.
Okay, great, no problem. All right, so Jo. Okay, carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure I'm keeping notes here.
That's okay. And she's around my age. She has quit doing her business. I called her, and she was actually keeping her grandchildren. In the process, her and her husband are moving to the coast. They're moving to Corpus. And so she said that nothing had changed for her right now. I said, would it make sense, for you and your husband to revisit, looking at the business? Because she was one of the first ones I called also. And so, but she had said that her husband would look at it, and we've never gotten around to him really looking at it. And so I said, would it make sense, for y'all to do that at this time? She said, no. And so I said, okay. And so anyway, we kind of talked a little bit about some stuff. And I said, okay, would you, have any referrals? I mean, do you know anybody possibly that has contacts in Japan or in Ohio or, a place like that we've expanded into? And she said, no, she didn't have any contacts. She hadn't been in the business for 2 years. And so, I mean, she's just basically a big no.
Was she pretty negative or was she okay?
Yeah, she's pretty negative.
I mean, was she kind of trying to get rid of you, kind of negative?
No. She said that, I mean, she's all about, she wants to be friend as far as like friendship. She said we need to get together and have a girls' night, with everyone before she leaves to, to move. But the business side and all that stuff, she said, if we add one more thing, it's just going to be too much. So we just can't do that. So I'm like, okay.
Got it. Yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable to me. I mean, the thing is kind of when someone's super, super swamped and you try and talk them into, if I'm showing someone the business right there and then first time round and they say they're busy, I say, great. I said, this business is, is perfect for busy people. I'm busy too. I've got a couple of restaurants and I talk about how busy I am. I said, but this business has actually freed me up where I'm actually considering selling the restaurants now and blah, 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 blah. So, but when someone's taken a second look and I can hear the negative in her voice, I don't want to go into the trying to convince mode. So if someone's just saying I'm too busy and not negative, then I may say, well, this business actually is designed for, for busy people. And are you ever not going to be busy? Is there ever going to be a time, you're in your 50s right now, you're ever going to get a chance to get away from that? If they're positive, But if she's kind of being negative, I don't want to try and, turn her into being positive. So I think you did great because
Thank you.
what would happen, here's the reality of what would happen. You'd be chatting to her and she says, no, I'm super busy right now, and you're getting a negative vibe. But if you were one of those people to try and convince, you tried to convince her and she's still saying no, two things will happen. First of all, you'll put strain on your friendship.
Right.
And that we do not want. And secondly, she's going to be stealing your power. She's going to be making you feel like crap. It's like, that boyfriend back in the day when you were saying, begging him, don't leave me, please don't leave me. And you feel like crap, right? It's like, and that's what happens. And so you did the right thing. You kept the power. You said, no, I completely understand. You said, now's a good time. It's now potentially a good time to relook. And I'm sure you talked about the changes that had happened in Ambit and everything like that.
Yes, sir.
And it wasn't a good time to relook. So you asked for referrals. And she didn't have referrals, so fine. Now, is she a customer?
No.
Can she be a customer when she moves?
Possibly. I haven't checked anything out down there. Let me.
Yeah, I would give her a call up and say, hey, listen, it was great to chat to you the other day. I'm obviously hustling in my business, and I really appreciate your honesty. Thank you so much. And I'll always keep you up to date with what's going on. Like a nice little thing. And you're saying that. But I know. You mentioned that you're going to be moving to the coast. I'd love to get an opportunity to see if I could win your electricity business. Would that be a possibility?
Sure.
So nice and up and friendly and da-da-da-da-da. And how can she tell you no when you ask like that?
Right.
You're only asking for the opportunity to compete. That's all you're asking for. So I'm assuming that Ambit is in Corpus, is it?
Yes, it's on the list here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I would follow up with her when she's about, time. When's she moving? Do you know?
She said her husband was moving like about in 3 weeks. He was going to head down, and she'll be following probably around May or June.
Well, I would get in touch with them pretty quick then. I'd say, as I say, I'd give her a call and say, love to chat. Thanks for your honesty. I'm just, making sure I keep you informed of what's going on because I know things always change with people, and that's great. And I'll always keep you in touch. And then go into the, you were talking about moving, and I'd love the opportunity. So it's asking nicely to compete for your business. It's not saying I want your business. I just want the opportunity to compete for it, and I think that's perfectly reasonable. So that's what I would do next, is ask her to be a customer.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else you were managing to get done today?
No, I just left, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. No, I left 6 messages.
Wow. Okay.
I made 8 calls.
Cool. So, wow, you did good. Well done. And were you okay? How did you feel about it? Pretty nervous?
Good. A little bit when I first started, but once I start, then I'm okay.
Isn't that the same with everything?
You know what?
It's just like, it's just like, the thought of it really is a lot worse than the reality of it,
Yeah.
But no, that's great. I think that's a good first day. I'm glad you got the invites written down. Even the ones we didn't discuss yesterday, you wrote it down, and that's exactly what you should do. So that, if nothing else, I'd love you to get to the end of this week with a good habit of having a structure in place, and which is the purge structure that we always talk about, and maybe helping you with some of your posture. And, the things I sent you the article on, and I posted actually on Facebook as well about...
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, and that was great. I thought it was perfect that it came in today as well. It was so fitting to what you were talking about yesterday about worrying if you're bothering people and stuff like that. So
I call that a God wink. He's giving me a little... I call that a God wink.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
He's
he was
winking at me because he's telling me that, here you go, this is what you need today.
Exactly, and he sent it to me, and as the messenger, I'm your little angel Gabriel today, and I was just passing it on to you. So.
And it was wonderful.
Fantastic. All right, well, that's a great first day. now we've got some other people we need to create invites for. So did you want to have a look at another couple of names? You didn't speak to Joe, Steve, or Abelia today, right? Or were they a couple of the messages you left?
They're the messages I left.
Okay.
And Jennifer.
All right.
And I would like to make one for Ken. That's in the kind of the middle of the list.
Tell me about Ken. How old is he first? I always want the age first.
He's probably 60.
Okay.
Right around in there. He has owned a business of recently where he delivers, I guess, office products and stuff, where he gets them in and delivers them to different offices. And I don't know if he's still doing that or not. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. Also another one of my hair clients, and also a bowler friend of mine. So I know him quite well. Him and his wife both. And she works at the hospital, and so I would just kind of like
what?
to.
She a nurse?
No, she's in the office.
Oh, she's okay. She's in admin.
Administration, yeah.
Okay. So you know him pretty well. Did you ever socialize with these guys at all?
Yeah.
Now, Ken's obviously a guy and you're obviously a girl, so we need to have a think about this. But for someone I know well like this, and you said you haven't spoken in a couple of years, I really like, again, bearing in mind the fact that Ken may be your next national consultant, fingers crossed, I really like a two-meeting approach in certain circumstances.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is I'll tell you about my friend Jim. Now, some people who are regulars on this call will know about this, but Jim I hadn't seen for 16 years. We'd been in business before, actually not in the same business, we were in the same building. It was actually the first business I started when I came over from the UK, and he was in the business next door, and we became good friends, but I hadn't seen him for a long time, as I say, about 16 years. And he's a director of sales, and I wanted to show him the business. But I felt, and this was before I had any kind of system, so this was back, 7 years ago, and I just winged it, and I thought, I don't want to just call him after 16 years and pitch him a business. Right. And so what I did was I just arranged a get-together. I said, Jim, how the devil are you, my friend? I haven't seen you in forever. I'd love to grab a coffee and catch up. And he was like, oh, my God, it was great, and it was exciting, and we just got together. And I thought, I am not going to pitch him the business when I've done this, because he's an old friend, and that would ruin it if I started pitching him a business. So I called him. We had a coffee, and he said, "So, Rich, what are you doing?" And I told him about my business. I sold my business. We did well. Told him about the restaurants, and I told him about my music business and stuff, and I had an energy business, and he was asking questions about all various things, and he asked about the energy business, and I said, yeah, I said, I'm looking to create some passive income, so I got going on that, and then I started talking about the music business, because I could tell him about that, and I was passionate about that. He knew I was a musician. I just touched on the energy thing. And then I was asking all sorts of questions about him, and he just lost his job. And he was a highly paid guy. Now his wife owned her own business, so they weren't short of money, but he was scared because he'd lost his job a couple of times, not through anything he'd done, but just downsizing, whatever. And we were just chatting, but there was major pain there. And at the end of the meeting, just as we were walking out and this type of thing, you can either do it here at this particular time or at a callback later on, but certainly not in the middle of this get-together. As I'm going to my car and we've said our goodbyes, I'd be like, actually, Jim, I didn't even think about this, but we should get together again. I don't know if it's going to be your cup of tea or not, but I might have something that'll help you out between now and the time you get yourself some more employment. Are you open for another cup of coffee at some point? And he said, yeah, I'd love to. He said, well, what do you want to talk about? I said, well, I've got to get going now because I've got to get back. The wife's waiting for me. But let's get together. And the next time we get together, it'll be purely business. He said, awesome, great. And that was great. And we got back together. And next time I told him all about Ambit. And he joined the business and was one of my seniors to get me to executive.
Oh, wow.
Which was great. So what I'm now, it's a long story, but it's important that this may be appropriate for Ken. He's a good friend of yours. You bowled together. You haven't spoken in a couple of years. It would be kind of appropriate, I think, for you guys to get a cup of coffee and for you to just ask all the questions. Let's find Ken's pain, not in a cynical way. We don't wish pain upon him, but who knows? He's 60, so things are different at that stage of life. We're not that age yet, but it's not that far, and we think differently than we did. It's all about, I want to make sure I have enough money to retire. I mean, he may say, that business is great, but I can't be driving for the rest of my life. What a great pain that would be. So I'm suggesting that maybe if it feels comfortable for you, that you find an opportunity to go out and just have a cup of coffee with him. Maybe you take your husband, he brings his wife, and you get together, however you want to do it. But I would suggest a 2-stage approach with that, and just have a social get-together first. And if there's any pain, then you can either do it walking out to the car, but I probably wouldn't. I would probably give him a call the next day and say, hey, I don't know why we didn't think of this when we were together yesterday. We're having such a great time grabbing a coffee, and it was so lovely to see you. But you mentioned about, let's say it is the driving. You're worried about not being able to drive for much longer. Obviously with the age that we're all at. You know what? I might have something that will help you out with that. I don't know if it's going to be your cup of tea, but let's get together again on Friday, or let's get together again tomorrow, whatever it is. I've got something I'm going to show you that might help you out. And it's a very nice, really nice invitation, because it's an offer of help for something that he's told you about, some pain that he had. I really like that type of thing. Does that work for you?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you feel comfortable doing that?
Yes.
It's because it's so much nicer to offer help to someone than to ask someone to take a look at your business. Now, we do both, but when I get an opportunity to help rather than to just someone looks at my business, I'll take that every time. Just because I like doing that more. It's just nicer and easier to do. So this is an opportunity to do that. So I would definitely do that.
Okay. Now,
all right.
The next one would be Jimmy. And Jimmy is my husband's cousin. He's older than us. He has had an electricity business or electrical business where they do like electrical work.
Yeah.
He sold it back in the day and made a lot of money off of it. He is not working. He's retired. He is a millionaire. They basically, him and his wife just support their son that is going for a musical career. And they kind of do philanthropy stuff that's here around the basin. And they also, I think, have gone into business and opened up a, I don't want to say a bar, but like they have food and drinks and stuff, but it's a little deal where they have like people come and sing and do stuff like that.
Sounds like he's bored. Sounds like that's why he's done that, because that's a lot of work for probably the return he gets. So would you say he's 60s again? Yes.
Oh, yes. He's probably mid-60s.
Okay. Here's an idea. Where's their son living?
They live here in Odessa.
Okay. Here's a suggestion. And I'm going to suggest that you bring Jimmy or offer Jimmy the opportunity the same way as I was. Because I had made a lot of money. I sold a business in 2004. We made a couple of $1 million. So, sometimes it's hard to approach people like me. And I don't mean in any way that to be an egotistical thing. It's just that I know some people go, oh, he's made $1 million. That makes him in some way different. Truly, it doesn't. I mean, I think someone, who's a business, I find business owners either to be black or white with these things. They're totally like, hell no, or they're, wow, once they get it, they're like, wow, this is awesome. So, but here's how my guy approached me to bring me into the business. He said, listen, I've got I wanted residual income, and I went to New York Life because I was thinking about, doing like real high level insurance for, like people worth $10 million and above, this type of thing. And the guy who was talking to me about it happened to be a good friend of mine. He said, Richard, if you want residual income, he said, don't join New York Life. He said, you need to take a look at an ambit business. And I said, oh, what's that all about? And he said, well, it's a network marketing business. So immediately the hackles went up. I wasn't interested. I'd done Amway, failed at that, done Herbalife, failed at that as a 20-year-old. And now I had this, I'm a proper businessman attitude about the whole thing.
Yes.
And so he said, okay, no problem. He said, well, I was going to talk to your son about it anyway. I didn't know, Rich, if it was going to be your thing. He immediately took it away, which was great. He said, but I was going to show Sam. Sam's my son. He said, because I know Sam that likes to race go-karts and stuff like that, which is something you're not necessarily going to make money for at the beginning. And this might be something, I've got something he might be able to do alongside his racing that could help him make some money to pay for the parts for his go-kart and all this type of thing. But I want you to take a look at it first because you're his dad, you're a very experienced business partner, and I'd love your opinion as to whether you think it would be good for him or not.
Oh.
So maybe, now you know better than I do, but when you said they have a son who's trying to be a musician, I tried to be a musician for 15 years, and that's a pretty poor life, as in not much money life. I loved it. We had a great time, but I could never make any money. And this may be something that you could suggest that you want Jimmy to take a look at, because it might be something his son could do alongside his music business to be able to pay his way.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I don't know the son very well.
Okay.
Not real close with the family.
So how well do you know Jimmy?
Not real well, but I mean decently well. I mean, we've been to their house a few times, and I've worked with him and his wife on a couple of fundraising things for stuff in the community.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they do
All right,
stuff like that.
Let's take a different approach then. And the son thing may be something that can crop up in the presentation. Let's take a different approach, because I would imagine with Jimmy's success, he's very well connected.
Yes.
Knows a lot of people. Great. Okay. In which case, let's take a different approach. If you're not comfortable with the son approach, then let's save it for the presentation. That this could be something your son wants to do alongside his music business type thing. But anyway, I would go with Jimmy because you want an opinion and referral approach. So and it may be something your husband calls him about. Does your husband's Kenny, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Kenny. I would imagine Kenny is closer to Jimmy than you are, or are you close enough to be able to call him?
Probably my husband.
Okay. I would have, and your husband now gets it after this last weekend, which is great, of course. So he's excited about it as well. I would have Kenny call Jimmy and say, listen, Jimmy, I'm in a little bit of a hurry right now, but I wanted to give you a quick call. As you know, obviously, Shelly and I, we're approaching we're not too far away from the big 6-0, and we want to make sure that we have plenty of retirement put aside as we get older. I'm sure you can appreciate what we're saying, obviously, because he's obviously the same age as, or a little older than you guys, so he gets it. So we started a business that's going really, really well for us in the Odessa area, as well as some other states in the U.S. And Jimmy, to be quite frank, I want to show you what we're doing for a couple of reasons. First of all, we've always, obviously you're my cousin, but we've looked up to you as with the success you've had with your business, and I'd really appreciate your take on the business. But secondly, and more importantly, that the business requires that we're pretty well networked, and I know that you know a lot of people in this area, and that you could potentially make some introductions for us. So I'd love to show you what we're doing. Can I get you lunch on Thursday? Let's the four of us go out, and I'll show you what we're doing, and let's see where it goes from there. So Thursday, like 1 o'clock. I'm not sure what your timing's like. So
Okay.
so it's a slightly different approach. Do you feel more comfortable with that
Yes.
approach?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool. So, you know,
That would be
and
good.
so we're not talking to Jimmy about joining the business.
Right.
Because he is smart enough when he sees it, he'll get it. If he'll get
Right.
it or he won't. I saw it and I got it. I was not being pitched to join. I was being pitched to approve it for my son. But when I saw it, I thought, I need to do this. This is incredible. And if Jimmy, you may be lucky and Jimmy says the same thing. So that's the approach I would take.
Okay.
Is be in a hurry, talk about the fact, talk about your why and the fact retirement's around the corner. You've got a business going in the Odessa area going really well for you. And you want him to take a look for a couple of reasons. First of all, we've obviously always respected you as a successful businessman. You've obviously had success in your life. And I'd love your take on the business. I'd love, to know what you think. But more importantly, and again, it's keeping it all really gentle this way, is this business requires that we become, well networked in the Odessa area. And I know you know a lot of people here. And so I'd love to show you what we're doing. What are you doing for lunch on Thursday around such and such a time, or coffee or whatever, or after church, or however you want to do it. But that's the way I would approach Jimmy.
Okay.
Make sense?
That works. Yes.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, I don't want to make this call too long. Do you feel good about those two invites? With
Yes.
Ken and,
Yes, I do.
and Jimmy? Great. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm going to let you go because I don't want to take too much of your time. Kenny's going to wonder who you're talking to. Although he did get to see me, right? He would have got to see me on Saturday. You can say, oh, is that English bloke up on the stage? It was, All right, so that's good. So hopefully you've got some more callback opportunities tomorrow with Joe, Steve, and Abelia. You've also got another couple of calls that we've done tonight. So is there anything else you need to ask me or you want to tell me about how you're feeling about things or is it too early days?
Probably too early. I mean, I'm good with it.
Sure.
I'm just trying to make enough calls to get a hold of two people at least.
Yeah, and sometimes you have days like that, and the next day you'll make two calls and you'll get two invites, and you'll be like on top of the world.
That'd
and then you'll do a call, and then you'll do a call, and someone will say, what are you doing? You're going to jail, and blah blah blah. It's just you just never know what's coming. But as long as you're not emotionally attached, as long as you know that Ambit is the best opportunity that's out there, like we talked yesterday, you'll be perfectly fine. All right, my lovely. Well, great. So a good first day. So we've got a couple of opportunities, and I will talk to you tomorrow, hopefully about the same time.
Okay.
But if it needs to change, I'll just drop you a text. All right, lovely?
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
All right, Shelly, so nice to talk to you, and I'll get this posted up on Facebook if you need to listen back to any of it.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, lovely. See you tomorrow.
All right, good night, Richard.
All right, good night. Bye-bye now.